And so we'll jump in with Mother's blessing. And once again, here we go. All right. God, as associated with his power, is alone able to set in motion a new cycle of social and spiritual regeneration. Else it is impossible to conceive of the absolute Brahman as involved in any process of evolution. So, this is where he's pointing at that tradition. The activity, the power of God, the actions of God are what we call the Divine Mother, Shakti power. And this anytime that you can't say anytime Brahman does something, because that's the dilemma. Brahman doesn't do anything. Brahman is isness itself. And so that active part of Brahman, uh, which is not a part of Brahman, but is the same as Brahman, but somehow mysteriously isn't, is God as well. And so this Shakti power of God, when God comes to change the world or to set things right or to rebalance the scales, he comes in his power in the form of the Divine Mother. And so that's why Vivekananda and Holy Mother and Ramakrishna all say that the Divine Mother holds the key to realization. That you cannot access Brahman, the knowledge of Brahman, without the blessing of the Divine Mother. And it's interesting, if you like this idea that we've been following lately from some kind of a collection of teachings, that actually everything is mind. That's a statement by Sri Ramakrishna, that everything is mind. And so he also says that pure mind and Brahman are one and the same. So pure mind is the mind with no me and mine in it. And the mind with no me and mine is a still mind, a mind without thought. So your mind without thought is Brahman. And your mind with thought, your mind with activity in it, is Shakti power. And you say, what about everything else? There is nothing else. Mind is everything. And so still mind is Brahman, active mind is Shakti. So it's a wonderful, wonderful way of thinking about it because it brings you very close. It is happening actually, within your own self, this play of the divine, Brahman and Shakti, and the creation. Creation is in your mind only, right? And I won't bore you with going through that again. But all of your senses have created a world of symbol, which is the world of your mind, which is the world that you navigate, right? And so this whole existence comes down to that. So when he's
Maybe,
saying,
Swami,
yeah,
sorry to, maybe is that why when we say pay attention to the thoughts and they dissolve, that when you pay enough attention and then the Shakti that then just changes to Brahman, like because they are one and the same, like Shakti, it's because
yes,
it's.
I don't know that I would say I wouldn't use the word because we're not really
Mm,
talking about causal situations
right,
in
right.
reference. But yes, you're experiencing both, at that point. And yes, Shakti and Brahman being the same, although
Right.
from our ignorant position that we make distinction. But yes, the experience of active mind as a non-participant is the same as pure mind. It's like knowing that to 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 be able to watch mind without being engaged, without being hooked by the thought into thinking me and mine, my thought, my idea, my vision, my whatever, if you can stand aside and watch mind rise and watch it flow, where are you standing? You're standing in pure mind. And that's what's giving you the power to not be identified with thought, to
But
not be.
I'm kind of saying this in a little different way, where Shakti dissolves into Brahman. Like when you pay enough attention and the thoughts subside, then the Shakti dissolves. Am
Uh,
I am I
no,
seeing it correctly?
yeah, I'm not comfortable with the idea of Shakti dissolving,
Okay.
because fire and its power to burn, they're never separated, and the power to burn never gets absorbed into the fire. They always exist together. So
Okay.
in that scenario, you actually, I could get in trouble for some of these ideas without without really describing them properly. You, in a sense, standing on the shore, are taking the position of Brahman, but your awareness of the changing of the mind,
Right.
your ability to see that change is the power of Shakti.
Got
And
it.
so in that exercise, you are actually the dissolving or the merging of the two is happening within seemingly within you. Uh, although that
Yeah.
that you is what is dissolving, actually. That you identified is you identifying with Divine Mother in a sense. But that's what subsides. Your identity with those things stop. Mother still continues and is
Yeah.
eternal and always with Brahman, always.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way to say that in a satisfying way because we simply can't understand from our perspective that notion. But yeah, the pure mind, which is the end result of grace, let's say that the end result of grace is pure mind,
Yeah.
not the end result of your effort. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, all right. When God incarnates as man, he invokes this power and then employs her for the good of men. So when God incarnates, when he invokes that divine power and comes as the Divine Mother, comes into the realm of the Divine Mother, comes into the world of change. He invokes this power and then employs her for the good of men. Divine power, thus propitiated by the Lord himself, becomes gracious and suitably rearranges the factors concerned for the advancement of erring and perplexed humanity. Right. And so there we're seeing that relationship that we cannot have our realization without the Divine Mother, that she is the expression of God for our welfare and well-being. So any growth, any change, any realization, any understanding has to happen by the grace of the Divine Mother, since she is all of that, right? And the divine Brahman, it's better just to think of him in the background, kind of being the container, being the stage for the play, because we so badly want him to be doing something or wanting something or have a plan or an idea, uh, which from our perspective is necessary for movement. But that's not the relationship. It's an eternal isness that we can't really put into our categories. So the divine power, thus propitiated by the Lord himself, becomes gracious. So our first characteristic of the Divine Mother is gracious, becomes gracious and suitably rearranges the factors concerned for the advancement of erring and perplexed humanity. So she becomes, through that graciousness and through the fact that she is that, she becomes that which advances us, through which we grow. It is the work of the Divine Mother in you that has grown you or matured you or ripened you over all these years. So anytime you're growing spiritually, know that the Mother is intimately within you, working in the structures of mind, working in the structures of samskara, memory, body analysis, all of that, that she's working in your mind. She's the power of that change to present you with your enlightenment at some point, to let you be aware of your enlightenment at some point. But not only this, when God comes down as man, divine power also accompanies him, most often as a woman. The descent of Sita with Ramachandra, with Sri Radhika with Krishna, with Yasodhara with the Buddha, and Vishnupriya with Sri Chaitanya emphasizes this fact. In truth, divine power, whether on the spiritual or the material plane, or as the consort of an incarnation, helps him immensely in his mission. Divorced from power, his divine drama cannot be enacted, nor can it be comprehended by us. So we see that you see the duality that he's talking about, that he's pointing at just in that statement. He says that his divine drama cannot be enacted, right? So this whole sensual world, this whole world of the senses, which is where the change in action happens, that can't happen, nor can it be comprehended by the back end, by the internal self. So this duality here is being pointed at even in the play, how the two become, well, the one becomes seemingly becomes two, and then that two acts in this world of duality by manipulating our external world for our good, and by giving us the empowerment and the isness within us to be able to use that intelligence, which is borrowed from that divine interaction. All of that which allows us to grow is intelligence that belongs to God. In God's hands, it's unchanging. In our hands, it's changing. And God takes that intelligence and allows us to use it as a scaffolding to ultimately reach back to our true nature. Swami Sharadananda writes, having discovered the eternal association of power with consciousness, okay, so our own awareness of awareness, which is, generally what I like to think of consciousness as, that having discovered the eternal association of power with consciousness, the rishis of India worshipped in all exceptionally energetic things and everywhere the deity who dances on the prostrate body of Shiva. So that's Dakshineshwar Kali right there, Dakshina Kali, standing on Shiva. The story that she came down, she was sent down to destroy the demons, which are what all the heads around her neck are. And the sword in her hand is meant to slay your demons, to slay your weaknesses, to slay the things that keep you from realizing God. So she's fighting your battle for you within the field of change, which is within you. Kurukshetra actually exists within you. This is where that battle is always being fought. And the Divine Mother is there to slay your demons and to take care of your weaknesses. And of course, she was so good at it, that the gods thought that she was going to destroy all of creation. And Shiva said, "Don't worry." Shiva, her husband, goes down and lays on the battlefield in front of her so that she steps on him. And that offense, or that taboo of a wife, touching her husband or stepping on her husband's chest or heart with her foot, was enough. Her tongue goes out, that biting her tongue, like, oh my goodness, oops, I stepped on Shiva. So the tongue comes out and she just freezes. She's mortified. What have I done? And so in that frozen moment, the world hangs in balance between Shakti and Shiva, or between, the absolute and the ever-changing. And so we are a product. Our assumed identity, our imagined identity is made of those two ingredients right there. And that battle is what enlivens us. It's what it's why we move and why we change, because we're out of balance and we're constantly moving toward balance, moving toward that sattva, which then will introduce us to the unchanging, to our realized self. This incomparable deity, who promises both blessing and protection with her hands at the same time that she wears a necklace of heads, was discovered by them as a reality, and as such worshipped reverentially in the Guru, who is the spiritual guide, in women who fascinate the world, and in such elevating and degrading qualities as knowledge, forbearance, peace, delusion, torpor, error, etc. So all of these qualities of change are revered and worshipped as the Divine Mother. So this universe, as we experience it, is the Divine Mother, right? And ultimately finds its rest in Brahman, which is not different, unless viewed from a person who has decided that they are separate and apart from the whole. If we decide that we are separate and apart from the whole, then we will see Shakti and Shiva as being separate, as being different. Because why? Because we are a product of that duality, of difference. And the only way that we're able to create our own field of Kurukshetra, as it were, is to have an identity, a place. When Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj was asked, "Who are you?" He says, "I'm a place where things happen." So we are a place where the battle of Kurukshetra happens, and we're hoping for the victory of Krishna and the conquering of our enemies, all of our demons, and all of that will be done by the Divine Mother. And in the end, she gives us the key to realization. Having thus themselves attained all that men can aspire after, they taught others how to be blessed by treading this same path. So these wonderful rishis, which is a time, on our website here for the Colorado Center, it's called onespirit.center. And in that first paragraph on our front page, I kind of write about wanting to recover that time in ourselves, that let's pretend there are no institutional religions. Let's pretend that there are no competing philosophies. Let's go back when we were just looking for the meaning of life, when we were looking for what it means to be human. What is our relationship with this mystery that we find ourselves in? And that is life. That is religion. Religion was never meant to be a thing. Religion was never meant to be a compartment of life. Religion and life are the same, just like your practice and your life are the same. They are not distinct. And in the beginning, we think they're separate. Oh, I do my hour in the morning, my hour in the evening. No, you don't. You do your 24 hours every day in your preparation to meet the beloved, to know the nature of your divine self, to touch reality, and to know finally, what is it to be human? So he says that these great rishis, having touched this, having seen this, now employ or work with the mother, through the mother, by the mother's power, to do what? To give us books, to give us understanding, to give us gurus, to give us teachers, and ultimately are found even within the own machinery of self, within us, that divine guru that is bringing us forward. And, all of these things, I always get so warmed by the fact of how intimate they are to us. This relationship with the beloved, with the divine, it's not that we're waiting to meet him outside. All of the effort that she is making within us, all of our suffering from as we frustratingly try to understand, all of these are her ornaments. All of these are the evidence of her undying devotion to us as children of her own making, to realize and to come to that knowledge. And that's the reality. We are not going to be any different on our day of realization, right? We will simply understand what is this eternal moment that we're always in and will always be in. And on that day of realization, this very same moment will be the moment that it happens in. And so it's not a future thing that's going to happen. It will inhabit the moment, this moment. And so it's quite wonderful to sit in the shrine and understand that you're in the moment that you'll realize God. And all you have to do is accept that at the deepest level. You have to go to levels that you're not aware of, places that you haven't touched and don't have access to yet. But Mother is there already, preparing the way for you. One of my first teachers, who was my friend Philip, actually, one of the things he told me at one time, I had been sitting in the shrine in the monastery in San Francisco, and I was a new monk, and there were lots of stuff in that mind that shouldn't have been. And, I was really feeling like maybe I shouldn't be meditating in the shrine yet. Maybe I'm not pure enough yet to meditate in the shrine. Maybe I should do that in my room and then go salute in the shrine. So I told my friend Philip this. I said, I don't think I should go in the shrine because you wouldn't believe the things I was thinking about before I realized it today. And he scolded me. He said, "What are you doing? You think that you have the spiritual insight to judge your own meditation?" He says, "Only a realized soul can judge a meditation." He says, "You have no idea what Mother was up to because that's your first mistake. You think you're the one doing the meditation. You're the one doing the practice. He said, Mother was there. That's the power of Shakti. And you have no idea how deep she was working. She might have been working at a place in you that you don't even know exists. And she's flicking a single switch that in maybe 8 years will give you your enlightenment. And she might have done that today. And you walked out complaining about a bad meditation because you're a fool. And so I enjoyed that so much. It changed my whole perspective. I was able to really let go of that idea and to just move into the shrine as a guest and to sit in the shrine as the subject being worked on by the divine, not a grasping, not a searching, not a clutching, not a trying to acquire or attain, but to sit there in the presence of. And that my work was not to find God, but my work was to enjoy God, to open up my realization, my own self, to the fact that I already am in the presence, that I am already inundated by the divine, that I already am mother's favorite, as it were, just like those wonderful dancing gopis who all thought they were Krishna's favorite. And I've said that before. They thought that because they were. We have an infinite lover, and for me to be her favorite does not diminish you being her favorite as well. She has an infinite store of love, and each one of us are, in fact, in reality, her favorite. And we can rest in that. We can love that, and we can really, really grow in that. That actually is the source of our change, of our transcendence. The understanding of the unconditioned nature of pure love is the only transformative power in the world. And that's all we have to do. We have to sit there and contemplate until we know and can believe and can accept an unconditioned love without being afraid that we're wrong. That's the whole challenge. And so you go to do your practice just by being in the awareness, which is Brahman, being in the awareness of the presence of the divine, which is Mother. Again, Swami Vivekananda realized that this Shakti, this divine power, had been awakened by Sri Ramakrishna for the rejuvenation of the present age, and he sent forth this clarion call. Just imagine in your mind the acme of that resurgence with whose first stirrings the whole world is now resounding, and give up all vain doubt and weakness to which slave nations easily succumb. This is wonderful. See, this vibration, this existence of the Divine Mother, it is the thing still reverberating. All of this change is the manifestation of the Divine Mother. But even more so, look here what he says. The acme of that resurgence, whose first stirrings the whole world is now resounding. Give up all vain doubt. Vain doubt in what? Vain doubt in that divine love. Vain doubt in that grace. That grace is enough for you. That all of this will happen because of grace, not because you finally did it, not because you finally reached it or mastered it. It is because of the divine nature of God's grace. And so it is our doubt in that grace which keeps us separate. It's our fear of that grace not being enough, which keeps us feeling responsible and feeling that ever encroaching shame or ever present guilt or whatever, for those who grew up in the Christian world. Those are lifelong companions. But we're free from that. They don't exist. So with the first stirrings, the whole world is now resounding, and give up all vain doubt and weakness. Weakness, what is weakness? Weakness is thinking that there's more than one of you inside of you. Do you get that? You get that? Your weakness is because you do not realize that you are one. You have a side that you've imagined in you that opposes you, that's trying to trick you or trying to not get you out of bed in time in the morning, or that wants you to eat too much or wants you to whatever. We've become two people inside. We've split our identity between the self and the mind, right? The self is that upper bird from the Upanishads. And the mind, the active mind that we've split ourselves in half with and given control to, that active mind is the lower bird, that's flitting around, changing, all confused about its nature. And the ultimate understanding for ourselves is there's only one bird in there. There's only one bird. The other one is imagined. And we understand that we are all powerful because there's no one in us to disobey. There's no one in us to follow or to fight with. And so we come to know that our yes is yes, our no is no. And any further conversation doesn't make any sense because there's only one person within you. There's only one will in you. And to take back that knowledge of that oneness is strength. To take back that idea that you are the container of Brahman and Shakti. You are not two. You are that one. That's the ultimate knowledge. That's the ultimate power within. You no longer have to fight to do the right thing. You are the right thing. And anything that is done spontaneously from your nature is the divine will, is the divine act. It is the direct manifestation of God, which is why Ramakrishna was able to say, "What am I? I am a whole through which God can be seen. I'm an absence of ignorance. I am the presentation of the power of God." Just beautiful. That formless and eternal power of Brahman, which inheres in everything, has again descended as the consort of the incarnation for the present age. She has on one hand helped him to fulfill his mission, and on the other has spread her influence on various fields of human relationships, thereby removing obstacles and setting India, and along with her, the whole world, on a new road to progress. The implications are so profound in that this new road to progress, this removing of obstacles, this new age, the dawning of the Satya Yuga, is happening in God as Mother. It's happening because finally we can undo or escape what we've done with God as Father, and find the complete picture by now understanding and sitting at the feet of God as Mother, as the divine feminine, and to find that within us all as well. That we are neither male nor female as individuals. We are the capacity for all, for everything as individuals. And we'll find in ourselves the power of the Divine Mother and the absolute peace that passes understanding, which is Brahman, and that marriage will happen within. So the whole world in India now on a new road to progress. Therefore it is that Swami Vivekananda, who was blessed by them both, salutes them thus: "A slave am I to both of you, and to both do I prostrate myself." Yes, you cannot have one without the other. The divine has all of femininity and all of masculinity and all the mixes in between present in it. And we find ourselves to be that. Not only has the descent of God a particular technique of its own, but the manifestation of his power also has its own mode. Or to put it otherwise, though the time and the purpose are the same for the incarnation of God and his power, which are inseparable like fire and heat, yet the objective is attained through the masculine body in one way and through the feminine in another. Thus it is that even though the entity cannot be split up, there is a special value in the following separately the events that accompany the feminine counterpart. And what are those? Those are the beautiful advantages. And this is an interesting, a dangerous thing for me to say. I didn't realize that at one point in my life. But this divine, feel free to counter me on this, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there as a seed for conversation over time. It doesn't have to be tonight. But this notion, men and women are not the same. We were never intended to be the same. And I think that this modern movement of trying to make us one and the same and to treat each other the same is not going to work. You know, masculinity brings a certain number of gifts to the world, and femininity brings equally important gifts to the world. And they both have to be equally honored and respected and encouraged within each other. But there's no need for the man to become the woman and the woman to become the man. We should each bloom with that beautiful, beautiful strength which was given to us to manifest. And I say that because I think that one of the strengths, and this is right, I'm going to tell you the story just so you understand my trepidation in talking about these things. I went to a poetry reading when I was living in the Christian monastery up in West Park, New York, and there was quite a few feminists, very strong New York feminists, sitting in that room, and we had just read this poem, this wonderful poem about womanhood, and I was bringing up the fact that I was a little bit envious as a man because I would never know the connection between a mom, a mother, and her child. Because the male part in a pregnancy is very brief and doesn't involve a lot of pain and or much time, and so there's not that deep connection that a woman has of actually carrying that entity within herself for a very long time, undergoing an immense amount of change from that experience. But then not only that, giving birth to the child, the body then becomes the mode of nurturing, feeding, and nourishing that child. And when I at the time had gone through a period of thinking about that, really meditating on that level of intimacy, because I wanted to understand mother's feeling for me. I wanted to know how the Divine Mother could embrace me in all of my different states, in all of my different ways of being. And it was through that empowerment of realizing I am in the womb of the mother now. I am developing, and my realization is my birth. That is when I am born and become what I always was. I'm no longer a seed. I'm no longer a potential. I am that. And so this wonderful, wonderful gift of motherhood, which Vivekananda Ramakrishna highly celebrated, I think is kind of key. This is where I'll get myself in trouble. A key to a new feminism, because I think that the current feminism, I don't know, because I'm in the danger of mansplaining. I admit all that. That's why I've just put this out as possible thought. But this notion that there has to be a new direction for this idea of feminism, because it seems to me that it became about getting the same rights that men had. And that became having, that meant that meant that the fulfillment of feminism was doing the masculine thing. I can go to work. My husband can take care of the baby, which is true. No argument with that. But there's this element that I think really what should have happened is that it should have been demanded of men to stop disrespecting the role and the gifts of women as they are as women, to honor those things and to break this egotistical view that somehow we are the ones that make the world happen by going to work during the day, when in fact the opposite is true. This world happens because of the nurturing and loving nature of womanhood and the bringing forth of life and raising and nourishing that life and setting it out and about. And so I think in this divine world that he's talking about, this precipice upon which we stand in the new age of Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Vivekananda, and any other great teachers that are coming along that I don't know about, that part of that, I think, is this new, earnest, and sincere celebration of each of us as we are. with the gifts that we have to give, and that together we represent that one without a second, that no half of us is able to manifest our true nature without the other half, from our broken perspective in this world. All right, it's 7:57. Does anybody have anything to say about what I put forward? Was there anything in there? Was I just stating the obvious? Did it offend anybody
No, I think I do have a last, with the idea on the feminism, and
yeah,
I think to gain respect or to prove equality, etc., that things have to be done, right? You cannot demand respect, right? You have to prove it. It can only be done by proving it. So if the male person is thinks of a house job as a housewife or a mother, not equal to working in the workplace, then the only way to counter that is that no, that it is, that the female is no less intelligent and no less. So I think it's partly a reaction, until such time that the roles can be reversed. For example, yeah, males can never give birth, but till such time that they can take care of the child and know what the house job involves, um, can there be realization? And on the other hand, that the woman is no less intelligent and can equally do an office job or a job of a CEO as well as a man. I think then things start to even out and say, okay, both the roles are important, both have their places, and definitely a female, because of whatever, we can choose, so I think it's, to me, it's a kind of a reaction to the way women have been treated, over the past few years.
yeah.
um,
I agree with that. I don't have any. I think
yeah.
that's very true. I think that I think I think that women are a little. Well, I can't say that. What do I know about that? But the amount of power that a woman has. I mean, if women stood up and said, "You're not going to respect the housekeeping, I'm not going to do the housekeeping. You're not going to respect the raising of the kids, I'm not going to raise the kids," and men would realize very quickly their dependence on the role of women who chose to stay home. Now, all of this
Mhm.
is couched within that. I think that that's a fair statement of equality, that we should all have access to the same resources to grow and to develop ourselves.
Right.
Women should not be prevented from education, women should not be prevented from self-development, and the tools should be universally available to all of us. And I don't see a problem if a couple wanted to switch roles, found
Right.
that the woman was better educated and had a higher paying job or whatever. I think that's wonderful. I fully support that, and I think there's space for that in the modern world, because the modern world really has eliminated, aside from the birthing and nurturing nature of a female body, but has really diminished, certainly the man's role. We don't have to go out with our elephant gun hunting in the forest to drag home an ox at the end of the day.
Mhm.
It's not like that anymore. And so there really is I think the man's role has changed
Sure.
significantly. And I think we're wrestling with that, especially in this country now. As what does it mean to be male? What does it mean to be female? What are these gender roles, and where did they come from? And are they still apropos? Is there still a place for them? And a great conversation to have, as long as we all remember that we're neither.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. That I am not a man and I'm not a woman. I am the divine self, and I am you and you are me. We are
Yeah.
all playing our role, playing our parts,
Mhm.
arbitrarily and for fun, apparently, for the entertainment of that which is really living our life. The Divine Mother in her play
Yeah.
of me and her play of you, as such. And so to let go of I think our ultimate peace between the sexes will be arrived at by that realization, that the same soul that animates this male body is animating you as a female body, and that play is
Yeah.
play. It's play. It's nothing more. It's not a dictate. It's not a divine role. It's play. Mother made it up, and she's making it up now. So, in that,
Thank you.
yeah.
And Swamiji, I just want to add something that you said sometime before about, especially about especially the place where I get stuck most of the time is like when, especially like when you were saying that, like, I don't deserve God's love, I don't deserve mother's love. And I mean, especially like when I do like bhakti or something, that's where sometimes I get stuck. So what you said few minutes earlier about like, we are, we all are special in Divine Mother's eyes, and
Yeah.
Divine Mother has all the infinite power to make all of us special and have that grace and love. So it was just so beautiful to hear that. So I just wanted to say that.
Yes, wonderful. It's true to our very foundation. It's true to our very foundation. She is indeed our mother. That one young brahmachari, who didn't have a mother, and she says, "I'm your mother," and he says, "Yeah, I know you're my mother." She says, "No, I am your real mother." And for us, that's the statement. She's not God playing like our mother. She's not putting something on. We are children of the universe. Our bodies are composed of the universe. We are born out of this whole manifestation, and at its center, it is the divine. And that relationship with mother, it's one of my things I always repeat, because it's a very powerful statement for me anyway, is this notion that infinite grace, to accept infinite grace, requires infinite humility. Because you can't accept that everything be done for you until you accept that you can do nothing. Once you know that there's nothing that you can do, then you're ready for grace. That's when the magic really happens. And I've heard before, and I entertain the idea within myself, that that's the point of our practice. Our practice is not that we're going to get ourselves pure enough and cleaned up enough that finally we can accept God and have our realization. That's not it. What's going to happen is we're going to work and work and toil and toil and toil and get so frustrated and angry and upset and confused because we can't get anywhere, that finally one day we're going to sit down, and for the first time we're going to speak an earnest and sincere prayer that says, "Help me." And the mother will tear across the universe faster than light to give you your realization, because that is the only way we can stop seeing ourselves as separate. That very surrender, that complete letting go of our ability, our assumed ability to do anything, when we can't even exist without the presence of God. So I always get in trouble at the end. I keep going on and on. Anyway, wonderful. If you have anything you want to ask or say, please feel free to email me. My email address is monkotronic@gmail.com. And if you have questions or suggestions or things you want to study or whatnot, please let's talk and go together. All right. Jai Ma, Jai Thakur.
Thank you so
Jai
much.
Swamiji.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, yes.
Thank
Be
you.
well.